Yo, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to LootCast episode number 40. Don't worry, I know everything else out there on the internet or anything that you have planned to go to has been canceled, but because this is all digital, we're here with you guys today. So we're going to be talking about E3 being canceled. Yes, inevitably, we talked about it last week. Is it going to happen? And yeah, unfortunately, it is no longer occurring, but don't worry, E3 brought a lot of other buddies with it, so is everything else. I'm telling you, if you're planning to go somewhere, just don't even bother. Just stay home with us each week right here, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Pacific time. LootCast, you can find us of this rowdy bunch here, and we're fantastic people to be with. So, just be right here. We're also going to be talking about Ori and the Will of the Wisp. We're going to be doing a review roundup of that. So we're going to be talking about what everyone out there in the industry is saying about Ori this week. And we're going to be talking about there potentially being 2 directs. Now, we know it's been 6, 8, 9 months, however long it's been. It's basically been a whole new baby's worth of time before we've had a direct. But don't worry, they're saying that we might get 2 this month. We're talking about this and tons more on today's episode. So go ahead and strap in, sit in, go follow us on Spotify and iTunes if you haven't already, because you should. And let's go ahead and talk to our beautiful panel of guests here today. Let's see. Who we got here? Let's see. I'm looking at one beautiful man. He's on the top right corner, and he knows who he is. Look at that smile. I mean, that smile lights up a room, no matter how dark it is. I see some dimples lying up there too. Some say he's in the bacon, some say he's the making, but really he's the Jakin. Mr. Jakin, what's up? Another week right here on the LootCast. How are you today, man?
I hate you. I'm doing fantastic. Also, I fixed my lighting. I don't think the lighting looks that bad.
It looks
fantastic.
Good. You know what the trick was?
Yeah, tell us.
Well, my lamp was on the other side of the room. So what I did was I picked it up and I moved it about 7 feet closer. It's an old industry trick we like to call moving a lamp closer.
That
works like a charm.
That's the oldest trick in the book, they say, in the stream book. So you brought it up right near you, huh?
Right. I'm on top of it almost.
It looks fantastic. I mean, the whole chat is going crazy. They're talking about your hair, your eyes. Some are getting lost in it, apparently, because some of their chats don't even make sense. I understand. We get it. So what you been playing, man?
I've been playing a couple of different things. For about the last 45 minutes, been playing Ori.
Okay.
I got a game. I got the box right here, actually. I got a game on Amazon to play with Josh and Miss the wonderful Marukuma in the chat.
Yes.
And it's called Gang Beasts.
Very nice.
It's gonna be
fun. I picked it up. It's like I think I had a $3 gift card, so I got it for about $23 or something like that on Amazon. It is the weirdest game I've ever played, but it is so satisfying. You like try and there's a soccer mode, where literally I could grab onto the person and he would struggle and try and get away, and the ball would just roll into the corner, and we would just like wrestle for 2 minutes trying to get to the ball. I won like 7 straight soccer matches. I'm undefeated. Not to brag or anything, but Mara, I don't think you're ready. All right. So I've been playing that.
Very nice.
Loaded up Majora's Mask on the 3DS today.
Really?
So
your 3DS had power, huh? Still got an old charge up in it?
Still kicking. I've had it on the charger for about 3 weeks now in preparation of playing it eventually. So there's that. Then, of course, been playing Smash. Been playing Splatoon. The old multiplayer games. A little bit of Ace Attorney. That's about it.
That's a plethora.
And I tried out the Call of Duty Battle Royale.
Warzone? Is that what's
yes.
called Warzone? How is it? I've heard good things and I've heard mixed things.
I mean, it runs really well. it's an interesting take on the genre because you can actually have customized loadouts. They get airdropped in, and you got to get to them. So you can have your loadouts that you want, and then you can get kill streaks like normal Call of Duty, Predators, stuff like that, and then you can get like helicopters, which is funny. But there's a lot of people in it. There's like 100 and something people.
At one time? At one time?
Yeah, yeah, in one game. So the games take a while because the map is huge, and you can go if you drop in like a kind of like a interesting place, you won't see anybody for like 5-10 minutes.
Doesn't Call of Duty already have a battle
Black Ops
royale?
4? Black Ops 4 did.
Oh, okay. Is this like a replacement too, or in addition, like it's separate? It's like a different experience. I remember playing that when that came out.
Well, this is an add-on to Modern Warfare, which is the newest Call of Duty. It's a completely different feel. Honestly, it's better than the Black Ops 4 Battle Royale.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's about it. Sorry to bore everybody. It's 100 gigabytes.
Wow.
So
wow,
it's a big one.
Delete everything off your PlayStation, so you can have Final Fantasy VII coming out here in a couple of weeks, and you can have
Red Dead 2, Warzone, and Final Fantasy, and that's it. And you can't even have Netflix.
Doesn't fit.
Not even an update to spare. But
well, interesting. So Warzone, try it maybe. Is it free to play, or do you have to own the game?
No, it's 100% free to play.
Oh, well, that's a good incentive then.
They try and get you a little bit with like microtransactions or like season passes, but you don't have to do it. So
gotcha.
There's that.
Well, moving right on to more Jake.
Chris just mentioned something that I totally forgot.
Yeah.
When you die, you go to like this prison where you 1v1 someone for a second chance at life.
What?
Oh, that's cool. That's like, a neat idea.
They call it the gulag. Yeah, you like go, it's cool. Chris just reminded me. It's dope.
That's a neat idea. I like that.
Okay. Now move on.
All right. Well, we'll move on right over to Mr. Rax the Great, gracing us with another week right here. And I very much like your on-brand background there as well. But how you doing this week, man?
Doing awesome. Can't complain. Been going through a lot of stuff, outside of the world of YouTube, but I'm excited to start working on a project. I have been working on something all day today. I'm excited to release it. I am working on a video with another creator called Chronic Spartan. Really awesome guy. If you guys are not following him, definitely check me out on Twitter because I share a lot of other creators that I feel like should have some spotlight on them. I try to do everything I can to kind of, spread some knowledge of other creators. There's so many people out there trying to promote their own stuff. And, it's nice to just kind of like get out there and realize that other people could use a shout out as well. So if you're, out there supporting people, help them out. So I'm excited to have him work with me on this video. Hopefully it gets some more eyes on his channel, and hopefully you guys enjoy it when it drops.
I like his channel.
Yeah, he's got a fantastic channel. He's a really sweet guy.
He has an excellent editing style.
He's passionate about what he does.
So for someone who's unfamiliar and maybe chat too, what type of content does he do?
He does a lot of really unique content. So he, when I found his channel, he was doing a really cool series that I thought was a really good way. Because, there's a lot of channels out there that use other people's names to kind of, bring attention to themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's done in a positive light, if you're, mentioning someone else, there's nothing wrong with using a, person's name or something like that, as long as I feel like the content has some sort of substance to it. So he does a really awesome series where he will take two YouTubers of the same type of content, and he will compare the two and kind of like recommend the two different types of YouTubers. It's not really like a battle of who's better. It's more of like which YouTuber, appeals to which crowd. And if this style is your style, you should check this channel out. He does a really cool series where it's called like YouTuber versus YouTuber. I don't know if that's the exact name of what the series is, but that's kind of like the whole gist of what it is. But he also does a lot of really cool stuff where he talks about things that he's interested in. Just a, generally good, positive vibe channel. It's good to check out.
What else is positive vibes? Not another game collector dropping that $1 dono. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. But that sounds really cool. That definitely sounds like a really cool value proposition. And I think on YouTube, the longer you're on here, the more unique you need to be in your content to get discovered and to try and just do something different and get people in. And sometimes when you do something different, it's hard to be discovered. And even though your content may be amazing, so it's really cool what you're doing is in promoting that, because cool content really deserves to be seen by a lot of people, and that's cool.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking about cool content, a man that drops very cool content twice a week, and sometimes it even helps you, is Mr. Your Player 2.
Like, sometimes it's helpful.
Sometimes it's not self-indulgent crap.
Sometimes it's just self-indulgent crap. He's right. So, I mean, that's why I do unboxings and everything, right? I just
but they're
making stuff look pretty. So, yeah, it's been a good week. I picked up, maybe I should wait till we actually talk about one game I did pick up today, which is weird because I pre-ordered it, but then it showed up like 3 days late, and I was like, come on, GameStop. Was Black Future 88, which is a roguelike where it's sort of as I understand, it's post-apocalyptic, which is not necessarily a unique theme, but one of the things I thought was kind of interesting about the story was in their fictionalized world, the apocalypse happens in 1988, and basically this, like the sky gets blacked out and everything, and there's like this, I won't spoil too much, but there's this threat that they have to deal with, but they just never let the years pass. In their mind, it's always 1988, which I thought was kind of fun and interesting. And it looks like it's going to be kind of fun and frustrating in the vein of like Dead Cells or Binding of Isaac or something like that. And I tend to be drawn to games like that. So I'm looking forward to checking that out now that I've got it. Other than that, I'm still playing Bloodborne and playing that with like Morrow and Daniel. And it's a whole lot of fun, if not incredibly infuriating. But I did also pick up Gang Beasts, and I'm looking forward to playing it with Jake. And to try to get ready for that game, I played a little bit of Human Fall Flat since it's on Game Pass. I'd always heard people say it's amazing. And that's a pretty... It's weird to see a game that is just innately funny, right? They're not trying to be humorous. They just made a game that visually is so weird, controlling these weird little this weird little Gumby character where the physics themselves are just hilarious to look at. It's got me excited to see how that translates over to Gang Beasts. I think that'll be fun.
Oh, it's just like it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm playing it, and I'm like, this has got to be exactly what I'm going to get.
I found myself laughing, telling someone to get off me, like a total stranger that can't hear me. I was like, I don't know. It's funny. It's a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Very much. And the other game was what was it? Kill what? 1988. What was that again?
Oh, Black Future 88 is the name of it.
Gotcha. And you got that physically?
Yeah. I got a physical copy at GameStop. There's I feel like it's gonna get a low print run because GameStop, they weren't gonna care. They were like, you're the only one that pre-ordered it, so that's the only reason we have a copy in. Like I saw a few at Best Buy, but it feels like the kind of game that's probably gonna come to Game Pass. I would suspect. I feel like it's gonna be one of those games like Children of Morta, where it's like I buy it for the Switch, and then it's like, oh, it's on Game Pass, right? And then I feel like an idiot because I'm like, well, I could have tried it first. But as of yet, I don't think it's anywhere else.
I feel you, because that does happen very often. But the reality is, even when certain games do come to Game Pass, I would still rather own them physically on the Switch any day, and that's the way I want to play it.
Right, like Plague Tale. Like I had put that off and put it off, and then I finally found a good deal on it for like, I think it was like $25-$30 or something. And then it was like 2 weeks after I bought it, it was like, now on Game Pass with a Plague Tale Innocence. And I was like, ugh, this is the worst. Like that's why I don't know. I struggle with collecting for the Xbox. It's not my favorite system to collect for, although that's changing a little bit as this new generation comes down the pike, just because I feel like they have a deeper commitment to backward compatibility. And I think they have a better architecture, historically speaking, than Sony did for backward compatibility, because it's like look at the PS3. The only reason you could get PS2 backward compatibility was one of two ways. One was with emulations they added later, which didn't work for every title. And the other way was if you had one of the the fat body original big boy PS3s, they just shoved a PS2 inside it essentially to give backward compatibility. Not an elegant solution, but it got the job done. Well, it did. But those things, if you have them, they're basically time bombs because the heat sink on the GPU for that was not done in a way that would give it a lot of longevity. So if you have one, it's probably going to die. Like I have one, and I only fire it up on occasion because I know sooner or later it's gonna melt.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Definitely agree. Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you everybody in chat for being here as well. What's up? What's going on, everybody in chat? Real quick, just want to shout out everybody. Yo, what's up, Avedon? What's up, Morrow? What's going on, Brian the Philosopher in here? What's up, Dorkman? We have Lily, Pat, NX, and everyone else in the stream. If I missed you, I know I saw Chris Levi in here as well. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. So let's go ahead and we're just gonna go ahead and jump into the news here. So. Like I said at the top of the show, unfortunately, it did come out that E3 was officially canceled. So last week on the show, we chatted and kind of just talked about some of the rumors that E3 may be canceled, and a lot of signs were pointing in that direction. But ultimately, it actually ended up being canceled, unfortunately. So we're going to go ahead and start talking about that here. So in a report from GameIndustry.biz, the ESA finally came out. Was this yesterday, guys? Yesterday, day before yesterday?
I think it got leaked day before yesterday, announced officially
yesterday. Okay. So we're going to go with yesterday. The ESA announced here, they said, after careful consultation with our member companies, put that in quotations, regarding the health and safety of everyone in our industry, our fans, our employees, our exhibitors, and our longtime E3 partners, we have made the difficult decision to cancel E3 2020, scheduled for June 9th through 11th in Los Angeles. Quote, following increased and overwhelming concerns about COVID-19 virus, we felt that this was the best way to proceed during such an unprecedented global situation. We are very disappointed that we are unable to hold this event for our fans and supporters. But we know it's the right decision based on the information we have today. Our team will be reaching out directly to exhibitors and attendees with information, which we have yet to actually hear anything about, providing full refunds. We're also exploring options with our team members to coordinate our online experience, which may not happen, to showcase industry announcement and news in June 2020. Updates will be shared on E3Expo.com. We thank everyone who shared their views on reimagining E3 this year, which no one was excited about. We look forward to bringing you E3 2021 as a reimagined event that brings fans, media, and industry together in a showcase that celebrates the global video game industry. All right. All right, you guys take it away. That's a lot of hullabaloo. I haven't gotten a refund yet, so I'm a little salty about that.
I haven't gotten
You're not gonna,
Tom. So what are you guys'
made
thoughts?
your bed, now lie in it.
What are you guys'
I mean,
thoughts?
it's literally been a day.
Like,
I mean, I was just gonna say, I kind of like, we talked about this where there was just too much liability in terms of spreading it to employees and guests and everything like that. And as well as I wanted to talk about this, like mainly because it's not just E3. The entire Smash Brothers World Tour that was announced, I think the end of last month or the beginning of this month, where it was going to have like over $250,000 in cash and prizes, like literally tournaments all over the world, canceled completely. Every Smash Brothers tournament, for the most part, like major tournaments, canceled. Evo, the World Series of esports, canceled. So it's not just E3, it's kind of affecting video games across the board. E3 kind of has a saving grace because companies are able to find other outlets in which to spread their news and everything like that, whether it be live streams or Twitter posts and stuff like that. But esports and everything, like, that's something you can't get anywhere else other than those venues. So it sucks, man. I mean, it sucks for you guys that were going to go. I know you're upset. I know you're still gonna go and get tattoos. And maybe I told Josh maybe I'll come. If you guys aren't gonna go to E3, maybe I'll fly out. Maybe I'll fly out to LA if there's not travel ban or something.
Right.
I don't know. My state's is in a state of emergency. I work for the state, and I got a email today from quote unquote the governor's office explaining kind of what they're going to do going forward in terms of protocol and everything like that. I have to wipe down my desk every 2 hours, kind of like just kind of stuff. We're not going to close down right now. We'll see. Schools are closing down left and right. But yeah, so that's kind of my 2 cents. Josh, what do you think?
I mean, it's definitely hitting everywhere. Like here in Ohio, I went to Starbucks earlier, and I was like just working on scripts and stuff before I came on here, and the lady came by and was like, "Can you lift up your laptop so I can wipe down the table?" And I must have gotten like 15 emails today from different like companies who were all like, "Here's our commitment to fighting the coronavirus and everything."
Banks mostly, right?
I mean, it was banks. I got one from Starbucks. I got one from who was? I think I got one from Best Buy too. Actually, I mean, it seems like just a deluge of like these sort of like PR emails, I guess, where they're explaining like all the measures they're taking to try to ensure the safety of their customers and all that stuff. I got one from Orbitz, which was who was taking care of the travel out to LA.
Yeah.
Personally, if we're if we're talking about just E3 getting canceled, my personal thoughts on it or my personal feelings about it are I'm not super bummed, just because like I mean like yeah, it's kind of a bummer I guess, but like I'm still gonna go out to LA and have a great time either way. But as far as at large, like what kind of significant impact is it going to have to the dispersion of the news we would have gotten from E3? I think that most of these places are just going to set up their own directs and go direct to consumer with it, sort of the way Nintendo does. I think some of them will be scrambling to do that because I don't think they anticipated that they would have to. But ultimately, I mean, the news is still gonna, the news is still gonna flow just fine. And that's the thing too, is like it's not just that like, oh, maybe it would be irresponsible for us to hold it. In some cases, like like Disneyland is now shutting down operations until April, I think, before they come back.
Yeah, and for like the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, and like here in Ohio, they did a thing where they were like, you like any place that has large crowds, or they're like, you're not legally allowed right now to have gatherings of 100 people. It's surreal. So in some cases, it's not just that, but I mean, they're going to be under some just probably a smart kind of restriction in terms of like having huge gatherings of people like that if you're trying to slow down the spread of a virus. So like it sucks, but they're gonna the news is still gonna come out and everything, and I think it's probably smart for them to play it safe in light of everything else that's going on in just about every other facet of our society right now. Like schools have been canceled here for an extra 2 weeks, I think, for an extended spring break. Like it's just nuts.
Rex, what you got?
I mean, personally, I never go out to E3.
I thought you were gonna say you don't go outside. Like,
No,
personally,
yeah,
I don't
go outside.
personally, I don't go outside.
I go outside a little bit more than your average gamer. So yeah, I mean, personally, yeah, it's a bummer that E3 is getting canceled. But in all honesty, if you really think back to it, like Nintendo, even though they may be at the event or anything like that, they always do their presentation digital. Anytime that I've ever watched it, it's always been digital anyway, so it doesn't really change anything for me in the sense of that. But I mean, it definitely is a bummer for the people that really look forward to these events, that get a sense of something else from the community, and actually being there and interacting with people, going hands-on, seeing these big events. Because I mean, there's no denying that going to an event like E3 and PAX East, or like Comic-Con in New York, or California, or whatever, these events really inspire people to come back and like get excited about content and things like that. So as a content creator, I can definitely see how it's not beneficial for them, because obviously everybody wants to come out here and get some sort of information or experience something so they can come back and share that excitement with people. It does kind of stink for the simple fact that at E3,
What happened, the reason that the dude got infected is that he was in Boston.
Yeah.
And then he flew back to Indianapolis. And then he gave it to somebody else, and now it's kind of making its way through the. So it hasn't been terribly cold around here.
live stream went offline.
Yeah, we're off.
Oh, dude, they cut us.
You
Jeez,
got cut
Dom.
off. I don't know. Don't blame me. It's you. YouTube's been acting up. I don't know what's going on.
They cut us.
You
Says
got
you're
cut off. I'm sure we're back.
broadcasting again now. I think it's coming back.
All right. Continue.
I don't know. The problem is that in my county, there's no testing kits available. You have to literally drive up to Indianapolis, and there's a issue where you can have it and not know it because it can sit in your lower lungs and act as almost walking pneumonia, where you're going around almost no symptoms and just spreading it to whomever you breathe on within touch a door handle. Like, you can stand next to someone in a grocery store and give it to them. So
Yeah,
So
I don't want to.
it's
I
a
heard it
funny
stays
thing
in
you
your
said
system
that.
for like 4 days, right?
For
So-
like 5 days, yeah.
So the funny thing that you say that. So I don't ever get sick. So I don't know if I told you guys about this a couple of weeks ago, but I was at work and I started feeling like, tightness in my chest or whatever, like kind of like coughing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I started looking at all the symptoms, like the chills and stuff like that. And I had all of these symptoms. Okay. And me just being me, like, I'm like, whatever. It's just cold, whatever. I could have potentially had this and not even know it.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And I've already gotten over it. Like, that's the scary part about it, is that, like, even though, all of the information's out there and stuff like that, me being me and like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to a doctor, dude. Like, I don't feel that bad. I don't feel like I'm dying. So I'm not going to the doctor yet. So, that's just my stubbornness. So there's going to be people just like me who, I'm going to admit it, it's, not very smart to think that way. If you feel like you have these symptoms, it's important to get checked out so that way you do know the severity of, like, if you're coming into contact with someone who is susceptible to the partial dangers of, like, death from this. You know what I mean? So, like, if I didn't know this and I went to somewhere where older people are, or someone with like an immune issue, and I'm around them and I'm not even conscious of it, that's danger in itself. So, the whole thing about people staying home, I think that it's more along the lines of that. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't know the severity of the situation, and yes, there's people saying like, oh, it's super severe, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's really a teetering scale of where that lies. You know what I mean? So people are going to have different views on it. So,
And I want to say there is a group of people that think it's almost a conspiracy because it is election time, and they
Crazy.
want to drum up this list of diseases that pop up every year around election time, or every couple of years near election time. The NCAA canceled their tournament. Never in the history of college sports has that happened. Let me tell you, there is no amount of money the U.S. government can give the National College Association that would equal those ticket sales. That is money in their pockets. They don't pay the players. Do you think they love anything more than money? No. They're doing it because they have to, because this thing is spreading at a rate that is uncontrolled. So Yes.
Dude, the other crazy thing is like I've heard of cases already where somebody has been, I don't want to say cured, but they no longer had it. It's like your flu, right? It goes away. And it was some lady in Europe. She caught it again. That's
Because it
how
mutates.
that's how
Because there's different
crazy
strains.
that's how crazy it is the fact that you could, because there's no vaccine or anything yet, right? They just treat symptoms.
Mm-mm.
So it's crazy. You could be, I don't say cured, but you could no longer have it, and you could contract it again, in the future, which is crazy too. Which is just until they have some kind of vaccine, it's nutty.
So
For
from what
people
I
to think it's like
understand,
conspiracy.
from what I understand, there is some sort of something in the works, but from what
Yeah,
I'm hearing that it's in such limited supply that they're really keeping it for the dire situations. I don't think that there's obviously not some mass, you know, hey, go down to Walgreens and get your
yes,
COVID
yeah.
screening, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference between this and the flu. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if like people are not going people are not going to go get their COVID immunity shots this year because this is new. You know what I mean? It's there's a lot of craziness going on about this. It's
It
it's insane.
it's a virus is a living thing, so it's constantly adapting. There's strains of the flu that we don't have vaccines for. So to try and get on top of it, they're having a hard time. I've heard there's a lot of experimental treatments from like cancer treatments. Drugs that are used to eliminate cancer cells are being used towards the virus, with some results apparently. Um, so
That's
they're
scary.
trying whatever they can, but like Dom said, you can catch it twice because it'll change drastically from one person to another. That's why some cases are mild. Say if you're young and spry in your 20s and an athlete, you're probably going to be fine. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, they're going to be fine, more than likely. But the problem is that if you don't know you have it and you're walking around, you go,
Exactly.
say your brother, your sister just had a baby, and you go pick the baby up and kiss on his forehead. You have no idea that you have a deadly virus. Uh, it's
I heard there was a
it's
story
a
where a
problem.
baby actually did contract it and like came out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'll circle back to the E3 in 1 second too. The other thing too is what they've been finding in their studies is that kids. I'm not gonna say they're immune, but there's like a point, like minuscule, like 1% of children who have had symptoms. Like they've tested positive for the virus, but they don't have the symptoms. So a lot of times too, again, if you're not staying home, if you're in crowds, if you have not washed your hands because you're sick, wash your hands, please. And you come in contact of children. There's a lot of times that those children, I don't know if you know, but like children tend to spread. They don't, they don't necessarily know to wash their hands as often as you do. They don't know how to do the same things you do depending on their age. A lot of times as a parent or whatever, you have to kind of keep on them to make sure that they're doing all of these things. So if your child's at daycare or school or whatever, there's a chance that they could pass it on to other kids, and the children may be fine, but they could go home to their parents or whatever the case is, and then those same parents could be the people that you're rubbing elbows with at E3, which you're not going to anymore. But this is how the crazy these things like can go around and
I,
really spread like super drastically, which is nutty.
I think what it is, it's funny because we think of kids as having weak immune systems because they get sick all the time. But since it's a respiratory disease, I think that adults with pre-existing conditions, like if they smoke or have diabetes or they're overweight, that makes them more susceptible to the lung problems as opposed to children that they haven't been smoking a pack a day for 10 years. Their lungs for the most part are completely 100% healthy.
Yeah.
and they're they're in their youth, so they're supercharged with energy and everything like that. If you just sit on your couch all day smoking cigarettes, and your kid comes home from school, like, you're not giving yourself a fighting chance in terms of your immune system. But men over the age of 45 that smoke, they don't have as good statistics. Like, statistical outlook is not as good as women who are 45. So I'd say that men need to be more careful of it, just because of everything that goes into like the demographics of males in America and everything like that. But
Yes.
So I'll say this too, like another like if you guys want to really get some good information, like I know this is going to sound really ridiculous who I'm going to tell you to go to, but he had a guest on his podcast.
Joe Rogan.
Exactly. Yeah. Joe Rogan
Yeah,
had a
I
guest on
watched
his
it. It's good.
podcast that really went into some really deep details that
Yeah.
if you aren't, familiar with Joe Rogan, look him up on YouTube. I know there's a lot of like other stuff that he gets into. There's a lot of UFC fighters and stuff like that he interviews, and he just interviews a lot of stuff. But this video in particular, like, really opened my eyes to a lot of the things that could potentially happen, the steps being taken. And it was a very informational video. So if you really want some like good, solid information that I haven't really had much from any other sources, one of the experts, like this guy, legitimately, like his whole job is to track infectious diseases and see where they come from, and how to go about eliminating them, and preparing for them, et cetera, et cetera. So instead of us not really being experts in this, let's
Definitely
preface this by saying
Not
these
experts.
statements are totally opinion based. And
Absolutely.
by all means, we are not experts, so do not, go take our advice like, I listened to Rex and he told me that. No.
Except the wash your hands part. Please
Yeah,
wash
wash
them
your hands.
often, please.
You should be
Need to
doing that
take
anyway,
into
you
account.
nasty.
You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't always believe every single thing that anybody that you may potentially have trust in says, just because there's a lot of misinformation going out there, and we definitely don't want to be part of that. So
Exactly.
be informed.
Well, circling back to the E3 piece of it. So when the ESA, so obviously it's being canceled, and it does suck. There's a lot of things that are going to be missed out. Rax pointed out a lot of things like games not being able to be funded, indie developers not being able to network, people in our industry not being able to network. Right? There could be some dude or some girl out there that could be meeting at E3 tomorrow, and we could have collaborated in 2020. Right? That my channel could have just taken off. Those things aren't happening, and that does suck. But the reality is, we're safety first. We're trying to be safe out here. The ESA though is thinking that with this show no longer happening, that they're not now going to be able to control the digital output of the media front-facing E3. And personally, I think that they're smoking something pretty strong, because I doubt that if I'm a company, I am going to be reliant on the ESA to put out my media when I have a YouTube channel, as every single publisher and developer does. So with that being said, I did want to read an Xbox statement from our own Lord and Savior Phil Spencer over there at the Green Giant. Phil Spencer yesterday tweeted that E3 has always been, and I quote, an important moment for Team Xbox. Given this decision to cancel E3, this year we'll celebrate the next generation of gaming with the @Xbox community and all who love to play via an Xbox digital event. Details on timing and more coming in the coming weeks. Ubisoft then chimed in and said, Ubisoft, they put here on Twitter that they are currently exploring other options for a digital experience that will allow us to share all the exciting news we have planned, end quote. And
Fuck Ubisoft.
Nintendo, as we all would like to hold very highly, came out saying, quote, we would like to express our concern and support for all those affected by COVID-19 outbreak during this challenging time. We'll continue to be flexible and redirect our efforts to other ways of keeping our fans up to date about our activities and products. Because of COVID-19 outbreak, large industry events may be untenable for the foreseeable future. But we are still considering various ways to engage our fans, and we'll have more to share as the year continues. So what I want to ask you guys is, with hearing from big three players in the industry, PlayStation, they weren't planning to be there anyway, so obviously they're not chiming in. What do you think about the ESA thinking that they're going to control the digital? They're going to hold a digital event and control the media. And what do you think companies are going to actually do?
That's a really weird statement to make. Like, when you say control the media, like, what exactly are they claiming they're going to be able to do?
So in the statement,
I
we
think
think
it's going about like who they're going to give information to get it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they said we're exploring options with our,
So they're
with our members.
still going to help with
coordinate
distribution, is what they're saying.
An online experience to showcase industry announcements and news.
Basically, it sounds like they're trying to like partner up with people who have big reach, and do stuff like that. You know, like say large YouTubers, large Twitch people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like since there's not going to be, you know, the event, they're going to
Like
try
a traditional
and
press junket or something.
Yeah, like they're going to try and do something different, maybe, and I don't know, go a different route.
It sounds like they're trying to hold the all digital event to where like those announcements you see still hit, but it's done through the avenue of the ESA, through whatever crazy means that they want to try and do.
I mean, I think they'll still be able to do something to, I guess, help out with exposure with a purely digital approach. But man, I almost feel like that would almost underscore some of the criticisms that get lobbed at E3 period in terms of it not being necessary in the modern age when you have just so many direct consumer avenues available to you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not sure how. I mean, it almost feels like maybe like a consolation prize for probably the vendors and probably the indie developers who are disappointed by the fact that it's not being hosted. It's probably them throwing them a bone more than anything, I would think, and probably a little bit them trying to combat some of that criticism to maintain relevance. I guess I'll just have to wait and see like what their plan is for how they're going to do it. I don't know. Like, that's the first time I've really heard of somebody doing that in the wake of like an in-person cancellation. So yeah, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. I guess that's where I'm at.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know. I'm like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. It reminds me of like they want an illusion of control, when in actuality they have no control over what any company does, because today on the internet, free speech reigns.
Right, like look at Devolver Digital's response. Like,
if you do whatever you like. Oh my god, I'm getting attacked by a wolf. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing that kind of sucks too is during E3, right? It's a controlled week of news, right? During this 1 week, we know as people who cover the industry or media outlets who cover the industry, you know, writers, bloggers, they know that during this 1 week that they're going to get all of these announcements. They're going to be able to cover all of these games. And I don't think the ESA is going to be able to control what a lot of companies do because they have their own, you know, online offerings. They have their own YouTube channels. They can do whatever they want. But what sucks for us who are going to cover it, and maybe it doesn't suck, it might be a good thing, I don't know yet, is all this news is going to be spread out everywhere. And we don't know when. Like, when's Devolver going to do their quirky E3 presentation that's now digital? Are we still going to get the Nintendo Direct during the week of E3? Or are they going to do it sooner? Are they going to do it later? Is Xbox still going to do their Inside Xbox shenanigans during that same week? Are they going to do it before? Is EA Play going to be... You know what I mean? I have all these questions of, like, if I'm a company... I would rather control the news cycle for a day, a week that's outside of when other people are going to do it. And I'm sure they're all thinking the same thing. So I just wonder, I feel like this year's going to be a mess. I just don't know if it's going to be a mess that ends up being like fruitful and really valuable, or if it's going to go like the opposite, and then next year we're gonna be begging for E3 to happen because of all this convoluted mess and news and releases and directs and all these crazy things. And really, I just want to see Ubisoft in Just Dance. I mean, I just want to see the presentation.
Of course,
Everybody does.
Yeah,
we all want triple.
Just Dance and copy strikes. That's what everybody wants.
Yes. Yes.
I will say though, I'm a little so. The great thing about E3 for me personally was we can mark a date on the calendar that we're going to get a bunch of great news from Nintendo. We're going to get Nintendo Direct. They tell us the day like a week ahead. All right, this is our presentation. This is what time it's going to be. Whereas throughout the year, we're kind of like right now, we're kind of waiting, holding our breath, trying to figure out what they're doing after Animal Crossing. Apart from Xenoblade Chronicles. But what is limiting them to having to do a direct on that same week as E3? Because there is no more E3. So are they going to stick with the regular formula and release it, or are they going to hold out a little bit longer or not do one in June at all? There's really nothing holding them to it, because there is no pressure of showing up at E3 with nothing to show. Kind of why Sony's backed out before all this even happened.
What sucks
So,
too, man, is no Treehouse. Potentially, I don't know, but
yeah.
I love Treehouse. I mean, every year at E3, when at least the past few years when I've been there, like I'm watching it up until I fall asleep. You get to see all the little games that you saw during the direct, and you get to see like the Treehouse people play them. I'm just wondering if they're still gonna do that, but in a different format outside of E3. And I hope they do.
This is so intense. We should move on.
Side note, and then we'll move on from E3 being canceled this year. Last thing I want to ask you guys about is a lot of people think because E3 is not happening now that potentially companies will release demos to the public. I have an opinion on this, but I want to get your guys's on what do you think companies will do in lieu of people not being able to get their hands on games because this event's not happening.
I feel like if people had demos already prepared to go to these events, then possibly. But I don't think that if people didn't have something like that in mind already, and it's also dangerous to put stuff out there, when it comes to a demo anyway, because if they didn't specifically make something where they didn't expect the masses to get their hands on it, then they're not going to be prepared to release it, because there's been a lot of times where companies have put out demos, and then either like the whole game has been hacked from it, or some other information has been, data mined from it. So it's really a dangerous slippery slope with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in an event like this, it's in a controlled environment. So that one I don't know. Hard to say.
I could imagine them, choosing select, companies like Kotaku, or like people that would be able to speak on behalf of the demos themselves. Like back when Three Houses was getting ready to come out, Player Essence got invited to drive down to LA and play some of the game in their studio, and then go back on his channel and talk about it. So they could always do that, choose a handful of people to come and play the demo and then spread their thoughts with the internet.
Absolutely. Like they invited when Borderlands 3 was coming out, Boogie and Beat 'em Ups. They went out to the headquarters for Gearbox, I think, and got hands on Borderlands 3 and got a lot of different perks and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's the best option.
I think
because you're not going to be able to get.
I think it depends what happens with this virus, man. Like, people
clearly.
being
Clearly.
yeah, obviously, but people being invited might not even happen. Like, if I don't know, if I'm a company, I may just record, like have gameplay of the demo that I was gonna show or whatever, just be sent out to YouTubers for them to be able to.
I don't know.
See it.
There's a difference though between the way
I
something
know.
looks and the way something
I
feels.
know.
So, I don't know. That is a possibility, but I don't think that would scratch the itch. Imagine, like, yeah, we saw some of the Final Fantasy VII gameplay and everything like that, but how much better was it to actually play it and see how everything feels? It doesn't really compare, but I don't know. This whole COVID, it's kind of ruining everything.
Yeah.
And it honestly feels like it doesn't feel real. It almost feels like the beginning of a movie that we're living. Daily news comes out about happenings almost on the hour. If you Google something, it's just going to be different news from here, from there, from everywhere. So we're just going to have to wait and see. A lot of these bans and a lot of these postponements and everything like that, the ones that aren't definite they're usually, I think, 30 days for some places. 30 days, 6 weeks,
Yeah.
just to see where we're at after that. We're still what, for 2.5 months from E3, three months.
3 months exactly, because it goes from the 9th to the 11th. It's the 12th, so yeah. Like
I
3
mean,
months
that's a lot
exactly.
can happen. Like
One
a
way
lot can
or
happen.
another. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So
So I know you guys got some Pokemon fans on this channel here, and I know that was a weird statement, since we're talking about COVID right now. But
Yeah.
the DLC comes out in June.
I'm not talking about that. Shut up and let me finish. Polygon just dropped an
motherfucker
article saying that Pokemon Go temporarily won't let you leave the house due to the coronavirus, and now that
hot
Pokemon
take.
Go is so they're gonna make getting Pokemon easier now. Apparently.
Oh god.
Get
They're like,
Pokemon
we
at
know
home.
we know you fucking idiots will do anything for these Pokemon, so
Yeah.
we're not going to let you put yourself at risk.
Yeah, no more
Lay
raids.
down.
Get
Have a
Pokemon
cool.
at home.
Catch yourself a Clefairy and chill the
I just
fuck
thought that
out.
was funny. I had to bring that up.
Dude, that is funny. That is funny.
That's good. That is hilarious.
You know what? What else is good, guys, but not so funny, just actually good, is Ori and the Will of the Wisp.
Yes.
So reviews have dropped for it. Has everybody here given it a shot yet?
I'm playing it right now.
I'm playing the original
Beautiful.
Ori right now because I had not finished it, but I didn't want to pass up on the collector's edition because I was like, "This is really pretty." It comes with a steel book.
Beautiful.
And I couldn't help myself. So I've heard nothing but amazing things about the game. That it's a solid file. But it was funny. I'll tell you this: like out of curiosity, normally I'll go to a mainstream news site for a quick snapshot numeric view of how I think a game's doing. And I went to I do this all the time for IGN. IGN, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I'll go to their video reviews and I'll skim to the end to just because they got that big red number real big. It's like this is a 7, this is a 4, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't stop watching the video. I still watch their justification for it, but I like to know immediately, like, okay, what's in their head? What do they give this? And at the end of the Ori review, it said 6 when I skimmed over it, and I was like, really? But I was only looking at the little preview, and it was actually just the 6 from where like the number thing actually counts up dynamically. So by the end of it, they did not give it a 6. I won't spoil it for anybody who might want to watch an IG interview, but it was not a 6. I was just an idiot. Long story short.
All right, so I'm currently playing it, and it opens up, and I honestly thought that it was like a start screen, but it wasn't. It was the game. The graphics are beautiful. The first game, if you have not played it, is something that you need to experience. It's one of the best Xbox exclusives, and this one seems to be going along the same route. I'm fighting the first boss right now, as we speak. The only problem I have with this is I'm playing on the Xbox One S, and I feel like it can't quite handle it almost. I mean, there's a little bit of almost like frame drops. It's weird.
Huh.
It's strange, honestly. I wish I was playing it on the One X or like, if my PC had a better graphics card. But it looks good on the S.
Just looking
The
at the gameplay
textures
footage
load
that
in a
playing
little
right
bit.
now, it
What'd you
looks like
say?
it has like scaling. It looks like it has a scaling frame rate.
It
Like
has
dynamic frame rate or something, or
Yeah, like
maybe.
it has like a because I'm looking at the battle between like this big bug and whatever. And when he does like a big move and like slams something, you can see the frame rate slightly dip, and then it goes
it
back to
it dips and then textures load in
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
occasionally.
the gameplay on screen right now, I captured from Cynthia playing last night, and I have the frame counter. It would go from like 120 to like 70, and then back. So it did
And you
it
can
did kind of go back and forth like a little bit. I could lock it like to 60, but then it still dips like a little bit. So I just kind of left it uncapped.
the problem is that when it's a 2D, the the frame rate matters so much in this game because it is a hard game. I mean, the timings on the jumps and everything like that is literally like, if you don't do it right, you're probably gonna die on a lot of parts in it. Just from the first one was like that. I assume the second one's like that. So it just feels a little bit like a letdown because I really do wish it was smoother and kind of gave me this this kind of how do I want it? I want it to like envelop me into the game. You know what I mean? And when it frame dips and everything like that, it takes me out of the experience. But other than that, it's a beautiful game and it'll hit you right in the feels. For real.
Will.
I mean, it's kind of it's one of those games where you just sit there and you just like the cutscenes and everything like that. The seamless cutscenes from gameplay to cutscene is very, very, very well done. And you just kind of sit there and marvel at what they're able to do with characters that don't speak, and you kind of develop. You tell their story in your head based on what you're watching on the screen, I guess. And it's good. It's something that's not around a lot.
So I have to play more of this myself. I think Cynthia played for about 5-6 hours last night, and I was watching her, and I was having a great time watching her. And I'm not the biggest platforming guy in the world. I'm not the best at them, so there has to be certain ones that like I really like. They really like. I need like Bloodstain when that came out last year. I was beyond impressed with that freaking game. I was like, oh my god, I think I love this game. Like, it was to that level. A lot of like the older Castlevanias, I had the same feeling. But then there's certain platformers like Shovel Knight or not Dead Cells. What's the other game? No, Celeste. There's certain other games that have come out that I'm sorry, they just didn't do it for me at all.
Those are hard games.
They are.
Do you get discouraged? They're not for the faint of heart.
No, definitely not. And it was one of those I played it, put it down, and I was like, but this game definitely has it seems like it has a really good balance of it's hard, but at the same time, it's very much one of those games that, how people say like, oh, I messed up and, or I didn't make it, but it's my fault or whatever. Like, it definitely has that vibe of, if you're able to balance all the different mechanics that it gives you, right? You get a double jump, and then you get a triple jump, and then you're able to. They have like little what do you call it? Like little life fixtures that you can end up like getting down. You can climb on them and you can jump up. Like, once you start figuring everything out, and then you kind of look and say, okay, I wasn't able to go there before, but I can go back. Like, a lot of that, I feel like it's really well balanced, and on top of it. They have side quests, which is refreshing, which I really like, that you can do or not do. And then the story is just damn good. And like Jake's been gushing over this whole time, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous game to play.
I'm a sucker for some nice art. I really am.
Yeah.
And this game is, if you like anyone that has an Xbox and doesn't have Game Pass, it's worth signing up for this just to just to play the first 20 minutes of it. Honestly, will give you your dollar's worth just to watch the beginning of the story unfold.
Absolutely. Rax, I don't know if you've dabbled yet. Did you play the first one?
What, Ori?
Yeah.
Sorry, Corona. So I haven't got no, I haven't had a chance to play the first one yet, but
we took it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I never got around to playing the first one. It wasn't because I was lacking interest in it. It was just because I had such a backlog, and I've got to really piece out my time because business. I'm not going to go into all of that. I didn't have time to play the first one, but I do plan on going back, trying that one out before I try this one, just because I don't see myself getting so excited to the point where oh man, I got to play this one now, and then maybe I'll check that one out later. No, I kind of want to check that one out, and then I'll go into this one when it comes cheaper or something. I don't know.
Makes sense.
How much is it?
It's I think $40.
It's 30 for the standard, and then it's 50 for the collector.
Do you not have?
I'll go pick up both of them.
Do you not have Game Pass, Max?
No, I don't have Game Pass because I own like a majority of the games that are on there, so I don't see the value of another subscription service. I hate subscription services. I hate them, dude. So I don't sign up for anything unless it's like absolutely necessary. I got Spotify, I got Netflix, and that's about it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, not please. I would love for you to go.
The only thing I was going to say was something nice about the physical copy of the original Ori that I really liked did come with the soundtrack. It's weird because they stack the discs on top of each other, but I feel like it's so rare that games just natively come with a soundtrack. I only know a handful, even like pre this generation, that did it. Like I remember Silent Hill 2, and I think 2, 3, and maybe even 4 all came with the soundtracks included, which I thought was really nice. But I love it when they do that.
Okay,
the music's so good too.
Yes, dude. Yeah. Not even just
music's
like
amazing.
It's so freaking serene.
Yeah.
Like that's the word I would use to describe it. It's so like if you're just chilling, like you're looking through your menu and stuff, like all the little noises. It's like those little rainforest music tracks you put on to fall asleep. It's just so nice. It's like they hit the nail with the sounds and everything in this game.
And it's funny because it is so relaxing and like it's beautiful atmosphere, everything like that. But then the game's hard as fuck.
Yeah,
so
it's rough.
It's not quite Celeste hard.
No, it's not Celeste hard.
But it's definitely not easy. And if you play it on the normal difficulty, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So it's funny, it kind of gives you a false sense of security. And also, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle for me came with a soundtrack.
Oh, yeah, well, it was like the mini one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great soundtrack.
But how are you going to play it?
You can play it in a regular CD player. I played it in my car.
In a slot loading CD player to play minis?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a Volkswagen.
Well, I didn't know that, so I take
the
back
Germans are very
my judgment.
The Germans are very they're very technical. It's little CDs.
I had always read that a lot of slot loading CD players wouldn't play the smaller discs.
You are mistaken. Please leave this podcast. You embarrass yourself.
This has to be a lie.
Get out of here. Go play Ori.
Wolfenstein character.
So,
hello there, Rax. Hello. Guten Tag.
That's BJ Blazkowicz.
Yes. No, the Nazis are out there and they are very mean.
So wait, you've put that mini CD into a slot loading player.
I like how we're
I listen to it all the time.
He is super into this. It's like
it's like I just Googled it and there's just like a million. It's like you can't do that. You can't just put a tiny into a regular CD player.
This man's gonna come on next week and tell us a story about how his little mini CD got stuck in his
video.
brand new car.
Do you want me to take a video of it?
Mini CDs into?
Josh, do you want me to take a video of it?
Kinda. I trust you. I don't think you're lying. It's just like I'm so flabbergasted because now I'm running through my head like, how many mini game soundtrack CDs do I have? Because I know I've got at least 3 or 4 Switch games that came with them, and I'm like, well, this is pointless. But now I feel like this whole new world's opening up for me. It's crazy,
and it's such a good soundtrack too for Cross Tag. Ugh. But yes, I'll take a video of it and post it on Twitter for you.
Thank you.
Can you?
Thank you.
I like how me and Josh kind of have like the exact opposite going on here. Like if you look in the background, there's 2 games that are coming out. And
Oh, look at that.
they're being hinted at right there.
As
there
if
might
we
be some
planned it.
content surrounding these things. Maybe you should follow everybody. And,
Yeah,
you know,
that might be a thing.
Stay up to date. Yeah.
And your personalities mirror these games.
Well, I know mine mirrors this one for sure.
You think I'm Animal Crossing-ish?
You're, I would say, even more immature.
Well, that's sweet.
You seem like you would give somebody money and then tax them on having to pay you back. So I agree. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like you do run a monopoly on your dog treats for chill.
Yeah, well, you know.
Let him be a billionaire, okay?
Jeez.
I'm gonna have a museum, and there's gonna be grass in it.
Gee golly willikers, you guys.
So
Well-
rounding up the roundup because I forgot to round up the roundup. Twinfinite rated Ori a 90, GameSpot an 80, and Game Informer an 85. So obviously, if you guys haven't played it already, it's definitely a
Great
game
scores.
to add to your collection, or at least give it a shot on Game Pass if you already have it or you want to pick it up for $1. Moving on to the third subject. Does everyone here like CD Projekt Red?
They're all right. It's a nice little indie dev.
Yeah, little family company.
I heard they
Puts out
made
a-
No
some weird-ass
Ubisoft,
game,
but,
something about like a witch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't it the guy from Superman?
Oh yeah, yeah. So anyway,
He's
CD
on
Projekt Red.
Just hit you.
CD
He's
Projekt
not a-
Red has
He's-
begun
he-
development, Jakin, on its next
He's-
game, following
He's in there.
Cyberpunk 2077.
It's
Uh,
not-
So their CEO Adam, last name I can't pronounce, speaking in Poland, said that the team is already working on its next single-player game. So if you guys are getting hot and bothered, make sure you're sitting down. He didn't specify what exactly a new project is, but noted that there are 2 worlds in which CD Projekt Red wants to create games: the Cyberpunk world and the Witcher universe. The CEO is clear on what the game is not. He stated, however, I already said there will be no Witcher 4, as reported by Eurogamer. I clearly said that Witcher was a trilogy. Simultaneously, Voice emphasized that we want to create Witcher games, and the agreement with the creator confirmed our rights. The game is already working, but we don't want to commit to it yet. We'll start working on this game right after Cyberpunk 2077. So I don't know what this news does for you guys, but definitely quite an interesting headline that...
Well,
They're
I'm not going to
making
worry
another
about it for
game.
10 years.
Right.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I think it does a lot, Dom. I'm definitely looking forward to Witcher 4.
I look forward to forgetting about it tomorrow.
Yeah, like I remember writing a
That would-
post like
that would
literally
rough.
in 2012 or 2013, like, oh, things to do while you wait for Cyberpunk 2077. I didn't realize I'd be waiting 7 years before I saw Cyberpunk 2077. Like I look back on it now and it's hilarious.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, also wait for Elder Scrolls 6.
Right.
I mean, we'll get this during part 2 of Final Fantasy VII, maybe, right? So
Right. Like it would have been better if I had written like what to do while you wait for Half-Life 3. That probably would have been something that was more relevant than waiting for
Plan your
Cyberpunk.
burial.
Yeah.
you know,
Seriously.
some say
Make a
Half-Life,
bucket list.
Half-Life Alex is the Half-Life 3. I don't know. Maybe you gotta go get yourself
No.
one
Is
of
it
those VR
though?
headsets.
No,
I like VR, but is it though?
it's
Look,
not.
Side note, I saw gameplay for it, and I get that people, VR is just not where I think it should be for me to jump in yet. I watched
Right.
gameplay, and I was just like unimpressed. I know people are very
Unimpressed?
impressed. I was unimpressed.
The
yes.
gameplay looked impressive. I can't agree with you on that. The gameplay definitely looks impressive. My biggest
Sorry.
thing
That's
is,
me.
dude, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not bashing you. what I'm saying is like I did see a lot of like finger tracking and things like that. I don't know what the new headset. What is it? The man, what was it called? Everybody's going crazy for it right now. It's not the Vive. It's the
Index, the Valve Index.
Oh, the Quest?
Valve Index. No,
Oh.
Valve Index. Nobody
Yeah.
cares about the Quest anymore.
Really?
Dumbass.
Untethered?
No, people care about the Quest. I'm just
Because that
joking.
thing is sold out everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
no, it's
so-
good. But the
Wow.
Valve Index is the one where people are really freaking out about.
Yeah.
But you know, it makes me wonder. Okay, because I have the HTC Vive. Am I going to be missing out on features on this $500 VR
Right.
headset that I picked up? You know, when that was going on. Like, so I'm not going to jump into another. Until things have been perfected and like really I see some kind of value in VR. Nothing in VR really makes me really gravitate towards it. I like the fact that I can put VR and play these bite-sized games and stuff like that because I don't want to have that damn headset on my head for more than an hour. You know what I mean? You start sweating, your eyes start like, getting weird. You don't think about it at the time, but I want to play a game in full immersion, but at the same time, I also want to feel like I'm not being like drained while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes it's so easy to get lost in these VR games as well because like there's been games where I'll play a VR game and I'll take the headset off and I'm just like I gotta like readjust to being human again. It's like it's strange. So VR is a slippery slope. It's a weird thing. VR is cool. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely cool. But I don't like when, say for example, like when you guys just mentioned Half-Life Alex. Somebody, I don't know which one of you guys said it, but that people are saying that it's the Half-Life 3. No,
Yeah.
no, like this is a VR Half-Life experience. I think that it's going to be cool. It's definitely gonna be worth checking out, but I want to know details and like what VR headsets are going to be compatible with what features or what you know what I mean. Because at this point we're getting to a section where some people are going to have VR features that they can do,
Yeah.
and some people are not going to have the ability to take advantage of those. So that splits that community, which is already niche, into an even more divided like not everybody's getting the same experience across the board. That's
Right.
the one thing that bothers me.
Yeah, it's you're right. Like it's super fragmented, right? Like you don't know what the
Yep.
feature set's going to be from one headset to the next or one ecosystem to the next. What's exclusive, what isn't. Like I
When you
remember,
go to Steam, you see like if you go to a different VR game, some VR games just flat out don't work with certain headsets. Like it'll be like, okay, this one's for the Vive, but this one's only for Oculus.
right, and like even within like just the Oculus marketplace, it was a little confusing. I got an Oculus Go a couple years ago, just because I was curious to see what Untethered was like.
That's like the all-in-one like mobile-esque one.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
nowhere near as good as the Quest is now.
Yeah.
And like a far cry from it. And so I came from the Oculus Rift, and I got the Oculus Go, and I assumed that some of the purchases I'd made on the Oculus Quest, or I'm not on the Oculus Quest, I'm sorry, on the Rift, would naturally carry over to the Go. And then I fired it up and found out, oh, the Go is its own marketplace. So even games that I'd already paid for in the Oculus Rift marketplace, which I feel like should have been crossed by, were not. Like later on, they added that functionality where some titles were crossed by, where it was like, oh, if you already bought it, in the Rift marketplace, you get it on Go as well, but not at the beginning. And I was like, man, this is really kind of annoying. But you're right, like it is such a niche thing right now, right? And it's not going to take off until it gets more practical and gets shrunken down, and that's probably not going to happen until graphics processors improve and battery life gets ridiculously higher, or longer, I should say. And I would say we're probably still 10, 15 years before VR gets any sort of mainstream. At least now with consoles, like there's a bit of a unified standard, right? You're relatively certain no matter what game console you get, you're going to get 2 analog sticks, a D-pad, 4 face buttons, and 2 sets of shoulder buttons. Pretty uniform.
$20 controller from Walmart, then
right,
you might have a different experience.
Right. So I just want to say, like, when you say it's divided, I completely agree with that. Like I have experienced
and then here's another
that.
thing, like when it comes to the VR headsets, I personally, the only thing that I have a gripe with the most with my HTC Vive. It's not the wiring, it's not the fact that I'm wired in, because they make a wireless, adapter for it, but the controller, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but there is absolutely no analog stick on the controller of an HTC Vive. It
Oh,
is
really?
literally like yeah. I mean, I would pull out the controller and show you, but it's too much for me to go over there and jump.
No, I gotcha.
But it literally is like, two circles, okay, and then on the top it has like two circular like touch pads. If you guys have ever seen a Steam controller, instead of like having
Okay.
that D-pad, you know what I mean? It has that circular like touch pad. So they have those on there. But when you have a fucking headset on your face, you can't see where your thumb is on that thing. So you're kind of like fumbling around. So the simplest thing would be, hey, make a controller that mimics something like the Oculus or something like that. It has the thumbsticks on it.
Yeah.
I
Right.
still haven't seen anything being announced about that. Like, I feel like the new headset has the two analog sticks, and now I'm being left in the dust with a poor experience. When I spent just as much money, I should have the ability to at least upgrade that one aspect of my VR headset. I already had to spend close to $2,000 on a PC, and then another $500 to have the VR headset that is top of the line at the time. And now, 2 years later, I'm looking at it like this thing is like a caveman status.
Right.
I mean, it's still not a PSVR, so I mean, at least you got a bump above that, right?
Well,
So
I
that's
have
still
that too, and then as soon as I try, and the people don't realize how big of a jump it is between PSVR to something like the Vive. PSVR will give me super bad motion sickness, but when I
Mhm.
play the Vive, I don't get that. The frames are so smooth, everything is so smooth. There was times where I would find like the PSVR would get like off sync at times, and it
Oof.
would like cause like a judder, and I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, like what the hell? I'm like, lose my balance, and I'm sitting down.
Yeah, PSVR definitely is like proof of concept version 1.0 kind of technology. And like Gamer Thumb in the chat was saying too, it's like I am very interested to see on what the next version of PSVR is
Right.
when the PS5 comes out. Because I think honestly, if anyone's gonna, I mean, okay, let me take 2 steps back. PSVR sold 3+ million headsets, so it's the best-selling VR headset to my knowledge, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in chat. So if anybody is going to put VR in a mainstream status, I think it will still end up being PlayStation this next generation if they do it right.
Right.
I'm interested
Well,
to
they
see
have
what
the
that ends up
masses,
being.
and they're like a
Yeah.
name like PlayStation, like they do have an advantage in
Yeah.
that sense, but they need to partner with somebody that really has like the technology that's
Yeah.
leading. You know what I mean?
And I wonder if that's already happening, and I'd be interested to know more. I'm sure we'll find out once it starts to get announced. But
I mean, there's always room left to speculate what's happening behind closed doors, but I don't like to like do that unless I find solid information. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Well, speaking about speculation, Jake, we're just speculating what you're gonna say next.
I was gonna say, Rax, this is the internet, okay? That's what we fucking do, bro.
I gave
Shut
up
the
my perfectly timed transition for that. Freaking guys. Speaking about speculation, 2 directs are speculated for March. Are they going to happen? It's the 12th already. Are you guys going to get a direct, or are you going to get 2? This comes from over at Games Radar. Reporting suggests the first Nintendo Direct will focus on indie games, and the next will be a broader showing. This comes from sources at Venture Beat that are saying Nintendo is wrapping up the Indie Showcase presentation that's likely to air March 18th. Following that, word is another more general direct will be broadcasted on March 26th. Again, these are all rumors. Allegedly, the 2 March Nintendo Directs won't focus on any one specific game, but rather the Switch lineup more broadly through 2020. The last Nintendo Direct, in case you guys forgot, and I know you didn't because you haven't marked on your calendars, was in September. This is a 6-month dry period since Nintendo hasn't had any new announcements since then. So yeah, guys, it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Since I could hold my head.
Yeah. You either got it or you either got it or you didn't. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh man. That's
So
Man, it's getting late. I almost want to get real dramatic with this, but I don't know if I should. Oh, you know, Tom, it's been a long 6 months. I don't remember what it feels like to be touched anymore. The last Nintendo Direct, it's September. Oh, do you know all that's
what?
happened since last September? Christmas time was wonderful. Oh, there was games everywhere, far as the eye could see. But now, with New Horizons on the horizon, what do we have now? Nothing! God, we don't even have a little snippet of information to nibble on. What are we supposed to do? Make up our own fucking stories. Alright, guys, we got some real hot information.
Play some of your backlog.
Yeah.
Listen here, mister, I don't have backlogs. I have bad
Bullshit.
decisions.
Yes, you do.
And you're going to be in
Everybody has
that
a
part of
backlog.
fucking bad decisions
Don't get
real
so
quick.
upset about these damn
Hey,
direct things, man.
don't you
It's
fucking
like
interrupt me, fella.
Listen, fella.
Don't you?
I
Don't.
will heal you through the TV. Put your hand on the TV.
Do you see these?
also at the top of the show, you mentioned like 12 games you played in like the span of a week.
Yes, I'm a man of many. I'm a man of many colors. I'm as diverse as the summer sky.
Also, I think you're going Irish, but the whole time I'm thinking about the new Miss Doubtfire movie that they announced. It looks like trash.
Oh, come
Really?
on, man.
Don't
Why are they
talk
doing
about
this?
Terrible.
Because they want to ruin everything in
It
life.
looks awful.
It looks so garbage. I had got really strong Robin Williams vibes, and I'm just like, oh my god, why touch
Well, I mean,
it?
they're trying to like pay an homage to the character that been there. And I read don't get me started on that because I read an article earlier that I felt like was extremely.
I can do a
disrespectful.
Mrs. Doubtfire. She goes, "Oh dearie, oh.
I
Don't
just-
forget."
One, two. Oh no!
Oh!
Remember the pie face?
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that. Man. I was disappointed in the Aladdin movie, which was trash, and now they're trying to mess with
Trash.
Doubtfire. Like, come on.
Why?
See, we're not here talking about trash. I don't see how like Cap 3 wasn't brought up on any podcast. Like, you guys are pointing me a little bit, man.
You say Castlevania season 3?
Yeah.
I
Have
haven't watched
any of
it.
you watched it?
I need
Yeah.
to watch it.
Dude, it's
Okay.
freaking.
I am
Two
caught
of you
up.
I'm disappointed in.
I haven't seen it yet.
Have you seen any of them though, Jaken?
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say. I was hoping you would
Don't
say no. I
fucking-
haven't.
don't
So I could be
fucking
like,
act
Rex
like
is
you
more
know me,
disappointed,
bro. Don't act like you.
than
Yo, I'm so tired of you, Josh. You come in here and you're acting like you know me. Hi, fuck you. I don't even know you.
Oof, that's vicious.
Hostile.
So hostile.
We
Hey,
really
hey,
hope,
Rex, grab your boy.
we
Get,
really
get,
hope
get
that
your boy.
Nintendo Directs. We hope that they happen this month. But yeah, Rex, Castlevania 3, real quick. I just want to talk about it. This season's amazing. I love what they did with Alucard. I love how they're making him more human.
No spoilies for anybody
than
that
before.
hasn't watched it.
No, I'm just giving very generalistic information here. I just love the relationship building. that
Have
they're
you
doing.
finished the season?
No, I'm on.
Okay, so you might not feel
5.
that way at the end of it.
I'm on 5.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. That's fair enough. I'm on episode 5 right now.
Yeah.
But I'm loving it so far. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Dude, they did such a fantastic job. I know there was a lot of people out there. Sex scenes, da 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 da. I'm like, you clearly don't know Castlevania because there's a lot of that in the lore of the games in general. How the hell do you think the Belmonts, I don't know, reproduce? They don't snap their fingers, then a fucking baby appears. Like, there's
They
no
do it
stork
with their
dropping off.
dicks.
There's no Dracula stork dropping off Dompiers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what happens.
Yeah, I don't know why
Get
people
down
are
and
crying
dirty.
about that.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
saw it.
even. It's not
Super funny.
even that out
They're
there.
done tastefully too. It's not like they're just like
tastefully.
dude, yeah, like there's two different ways that you can go about doing a sex scene. Let's just be real, okay?
Is it like
and especially in animated fashion, like, this is not like we're talking about like we go through a vampire fight, then all of a sudden an octopus comes out and wraps up a girl and is just like, rips her clothes off like it's hentai. Okay, it's done in a way where it
I would
makes
love
sense
to watch that. I would love to watch that.
in conjunction with the story. Like there's reasons why it happens. The way that manipulation through something like that is easy. You know what I mean? Like there's different reasons why those scenes happen. For people to be all butthurt about it, they're just like prudes.
Which is so dumb. I mean, they did a similar thing to The Witcher. I mean, and nobody really griped about that.
Yeah, like why is it? Yeah, like it's totally. It's like one of the first things you hear about when anybody brings up The Witcher. Oh, sex. It's like, okay, but Castlevania does it, and all of a sudden it's like, these are unnecessary.
It's a difference because one of them is a cartoon and one of them is pumped up on roids, allegedly. Let's throw that out there.
Allegedly.
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 I'm sorry. Allegedly.
Well, with that being said, any last thoughts, guys, on Nintendo Directs or Castlevania? Either or.
I'm excited for the Indie Direct because I want sports story to be dated. That is my wish.
Listen, I love it. I love getting Nintendo Directs, but I'm not the type that like, gets upset when I don't get one. If someone hadn't told me that it's been 6 months, I feel like I just got one like 2 months ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Like I know stuff coming out. I know that there's stuff in the works. If there's nothing that is going to be directly dropped right now, I already know that there's stuff in the works. The stuff that I'm excited about on my Switch. But at the same time, I also own a PlayStation 4, an Xbox One, and many other things. Like it's not like I'm in a drought or anything like that. Maybe sometimes I feel like this is good so I can go experience things like the Final Fantasy demo. Like if I have constant games on my Switch that I'm trying to keep up with, how am I going to have time for anything else?
I'm actually kind of more excited for I can wait on the actual Direct, but I'm more excited about the Indie Direct because, as you guys know, there's like dozens of games that hit the eShop every single day. And a lot of times you have no idea what the hell do I even look at. You know what I mean? There's so many that flood it. You don't even know what's good, what's trash. So I like when they do the Indie Directs because it spotlights some of the games that are like, oh, I think I might like that, or I think I'm gonna follow that game, or I'm gonna go follow that developer on Twitter to see on what the game's about. And I do those things during the Indie Directs, and I like watching those to discover those smaller games. And I've played visual novel games, I've played platformers, dungeon crawlers, RPGs I play a fishing game because I saw it on a Indie Direct, and I was like, yo, this is dope. So I'm excited for that to happen. I hope that one does happen for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a backlog. I really just want sports story. I really just want to know when it comes out so I can circle it.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool.
So,
well,
that's about it.
With that being said about circling, thank you guys for circling around LootCast episode number 40. Tonight's podcast has been amazing. We talked about E3 being canceled. It's gone. We're sending it off this year in 2020. We talked about Ori and the Blind Forest. If you haven't played it, you should. We talked about the Nintendo Directs. They're maybe happening. We don't know. Nintendo may give you what you want. They may not. They may not do anything. Maybe they don't have to. And we've talked about a lot more tonight, so we hope you guys had a great time with us. We've had a great time with you. We're going to go ahead and talk to our guest right now. They're going to tell you a little bit about maybe what they have coming, what they're doing. Jake, we started with you, so we'll start the end with you tonight.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everybody that stuck through us for roughly an hour and 35 minutes or so. We do appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you don't know, now you know. We are at a new time on the East Coast and everywhere that's not Arizona. So 11 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. or 8 o'clock Pacific.
8 Pacific, yeah.
8 o'clock Pacific. Catch us back here every Thursday. Rax won't be back, I promise. Don't worry. He's going straight to hell.
Little boy, it's time for you to pay.
But yeah, I do have a channel. My fire has gone out recently as towards live streaming, but hopefully I'll recapture it soon. I'm trying to just been playing a lot of games off stream and hanging out in people's streams. But if you do want to be there for when I do, get back going and everything like that, feel free to come check my channel out, subscribe, and, hit the bell or something if you want to know.
Ding, ding.
Other than that, you can catch me here every week if you just want to do that. All right.
Over to Mr. Rax the Great, Mr. Doom Eternal himself.
What's going on, guys? Thank you guys for chilling. And Alan, I don't even. I promise I speak.
Maybe you fucking speaking English.
But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you want to come check me out, you can check me out at any of this social media right here: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I usually post a lot of my updates on Twitter. I'm trying to get back into using Instagram a little bit more. But yeah, I do have an awesome video coming out with another creator, like I mentioned at the beginning of this. But if you weren't here for that, me and another creator named Chronic Spartan, we are going to be putting out a video that is Doom themed. I don't want to say what it is just yet, but if you're interested in Doom, you like heavy music, you might enjoy this video. So make sure to come by my channel, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on, because that's very important. Just like you should turn the notifications on here, so you get notified when we go live. Booyah.
Boom. Mr. Go Live himself, Mr. Your Player 2.
Oh, that's not right. I've streamed less this year than I did last year, I think. But nonetheless, my channel is Your Player 2. Most recent video I did was kind of a primer if you run a gaming channel yourself and how to go about starting to dabble with getting review codes or how to approach things. I know it's kind of a weird, confusing thing for a lot of people when you start dealing with companies and everything. So I tried to break it down to a very simple video that I've listed there. And as far as what's coming up on the channel in the coming weeks, I will be doing a few different videos coming up. One of the things I wanted to do was weird criticisms that I think get lobbed at gaming channels almost exclusively that I think are dumb. I'd like to talk about that because I think it'd be funny. And then also some of the creator features that I would love to see from the PlayStation 5 and Xbox whenever they manifest later this year. But yeah, that's essentially what my channel is all about. Try to make encouraging, helpful content for other people who run gaming channels. I'm in the midst of some fairly exciting stuff that I'm not quite at liberty to speak about yet, but I am gradually refining my content over there even more. If you want to hang out with me on Twitter, it is at It's Your Player 2. So if you want to chat, DMs are not open. They're heavily filtered, and I judge people harshly. But if you're lucky, no, I'm kidding.
You have to get through me. Good
Right,
luck,
you have to get through
motherfuckers.
Jacob. But yeah, that's what my channel's all about. So if that sounds interesting, throw to subscribe.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you guys so much for joining LootCast episode number 40. If you guys listening on Spotify or Apple iTunes, make sure you guys follow and come back each and every week, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Or if you'd like to watch our beautiful faces here on YouTube, then you're ready in the right spot where you need to be. Make sure you guys come by tomorrow night for Backlog Friday. Cynthia and I, she's not here today, but I promise she will be here tomorrow. We're going to take a stab at Luigi's Mansion 3 and finally maybe roll credits on that. We're trying to go through the